Welcome back to Magic Muggle, a Harry Potter after show. This is Eric Sequeira, your host, aka Mr. Honest, back with you for chapters 13 through 15 today. Now, before we dive in to chapters 13 through 15, I need to honor something that I didn't bring up last episode. And honestly, it's just way too iconic to skip. The Marauders map. I referenced it maybe, but I didn't put the emphasis on the iconic aspect of this part of those chapters in this book. This map isn't just a magical object, it's personality. It's mischief with a heartbeat. The four names behind it, Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs, hide a whole history we're about to uncover later in this book. And the activation alone is just legendary. I solemnly swear I am up to no good. That's how they activate the map. I love that Fred and George give this to Harry, and it's just kind of like a cheat player's guide on how to maneuver around Hogwarts. And to turn the magic off the map, to take the map away, mischief managed. I mean, good Lord, that could be a sign-off for the show. I love those lines, and it's just as simple as I didn't want to have my podcast not say them, even though the map would come up again without too many spoilers. It's just one of the most defining magical items in the entire series, and it deserved its moment. Now it has it. All right, mischief officially managed. Let's step into these chapters. Chapter 13, Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. The return of the Firebolt, very important. And McGonagall finally returned the Firebolt, cleared it by Dumbledore, Professor Flitwick, all the charms, everything on it, ready to go. Harry is thrilled. Hermione tries to smile, but Ron refuses to speak to her. And because Ron is ignoring her, Harry is too. So Hermione is alone. The fake Dementors. During the match of Quidditch in this chapter, lots of Quidditch today. Draco, Crabbe, and Goyle dress up as Dementors to sabotage Harry. Harry responds by producing a full shining Patronus that knocks all three of them on their backs. This is the moment we realize Harry's Patronus work with Lupin has taken a real root. Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. Cho Chang is a character who's introduced in this chapter as the seeker for Ravenclaw. Look, I'm a Ravenclaw. I was a little bit biased on this one. I wanted Ravenclaw to win the House Cup. With all honesty, we're so with Harry. You know you want Harry to win. Even though I got my giant Ravenclaw banner to the left of me on my wall. I'm looking at it right now from I call it Honest HQ. Honest HQ is where I make all my content. I will admit to you, I'm a little scatterbrained today, and I think these are good chapters for me to be scatterbrained on. Because it's not that they're bad chapters, but they're definitely more building up / filling the book a little bit more. Details about the matches of Quidditch and in between moments that are important, but not book defining. So this is probably going to run a little short today. Harry and Cho Chang duel, and those Dementors on the ground, like I said, don't stop Harry. On the Firebolt, he is just unstoppable. He produces that Patronus, and the fact that he does that shows that he's getting ready. But the idea is they weren't real Dementors, so is Harry that good at the Patronus? Because if it were a real Dementor, would he have been able to do that? We will find out. Harry catches the snitch. Gryffindor erupts. Just when you think the chapter's over, Scabbers goes missing. Late that night, Ron finds blood on his sheets and ginger cat hairs everywhere. Scabbers is gone, and he blames Crookshanks. Hermione tries to defend herself and fails, and this is why they start to not talk to her. I mean, Harry really is just kind of like following Ron's front step here. The fight deepens. A lot of tension between Ron and Hermione, because she ratted out the Firebolt in the first place. And it was something, like we discussed last week, that needed to be done. Whether or not it was tampered with, she was trying to save her friend's life. So we know that. So something really big does happen at the end of Ravenclaw versus Gryffindor. Sorry, turned around. Sirius Black breaks in. Wow. So just when the tension couldn't stretch any further, Gryffindor Tower explodes into chaos. Sir Cadogan, the new portrait guard after the fat lady fled, is responsible for letting Sirius Black in, or anyone in. Teachers flood the common room, students gather in terror, and the truth surfaces. Sirius Black got into the boys' dormitory. And he didn't break the portrait, he didn't use magic to sneak by. He walked in, straight in, because Neville accidentally dropped his full list of passwords, and Sir Cadogan, ever eager to prove his bravery, honored them without question. In the dormitory, Ron wakes up screaming. The curtains around his bed are slashed. Sirius stood directly beside him, knife in hand. Ron woke up screaming. And that chilling detail floats above everything else. What is going on here? Why Ron? Something that will all come together, of course, in the culmination of all these answers. There will be a culmination. There's a lot of questions up in the air, so I'm not leaving too many breadcrumbs for new readers / listeners reading along, but those who know the story know what's going on. This is no random invasion, I'll tell you. This is hunting. And it changes the mood of the book instantly from tension to terror. It's a very important moment to put the castle on higher alert than it even was already. It's very kind of stomach-turning for Harry, Ron, and all the Gryffindors, anyone in the castle, honestly, that Sirius Black is on the grounds, confirmed, and Sir Cadogan confirmed it, and everything kind of gets a little bit more, like, ramped up around the school, like more guards, more Dementors, I'm guessing, and this is probably the most important moment among these 3 chapters. We move to chapter 14, Snape's Grudge. Hermione is breaking. Ron is ignoring her, and Harry is drifting with Ron, like I said. And Hermione is just completely isolated, and it's very sad to see Hermione sad, in my opinion. On top of schoolwork and her impossible class schedule, she's been doing all the research for Hagrid's Buckbeak defense. Poor Buckbeak, writing letters, compiling evidence, and trying to keep the case alive. She's carrying everything alone. So, Hogsmeade. Unauthorized visit number 2. It's another Hogsmeade weekend, and Harry, despite Hermione's warnings, sneaks out again using the secret passage with the Marauder's map. He brings his invisibility cloak this time. Malfoy is being very mean to Ron, and Harry takes a bunch of mud and throws it all over Malfoy, and then some, what was described as like slimy water, threw it on Crabbe and Goyle and Malfoy, and Harry gets his head out of his invisibility cloak, so all Malfoy sees after all this is Harry's floating head. So not only is he freaked out, but he's running back to the school to tell Professor Snape. So Ron urges Harry, jump back to Hogwarts, go. And Harry runs back through the passage, back through the statue, and he still gets interrogated by Snape. Snape corners Harry back at Hogwarts. He takes the Marauder's map, and this is a moment where our stomachs sink. Like, will he figure Harry out? Is Harry going to get expelled? Well, we know this. There's not many more. It's not like there's no more books ahead of this one. But in full, immersion, we consider the possibilities of what could happen. The map insults Snape as he tries to do a revealing spell on the parchment. And Snape gets angrier because it's taking dives, jabs at him, and it seems that Snape knows something about this map, the names being used at least, and that's kind of foreshadowed for later because, I'm not going to tell you why. This is my hardest non-spoiler chapter because there's a lot of groundwork being laid here, and I don't want to give anything away. So I'm not doing very good at foreshadowing this week. So instead of foreshadowing things, I'm literally just walking around these facts lightly without too much opinion. Lupin arrives. He recognizes the map immediately, and he de-escalates the entire scene between Snape and Harry. Sometimes I've always called him Snake when I was a little kid, just when the first movie came out, and Snape, it's Snape, but I know that. But as a kid, you put something in your head, and it's hard to forget sometimes. But I know his name's Snape. He confiscates the map afterward and gives Harry a quiet, pointed lecture about taking foolish risks. The disappointment does sting. And if you think about it, it's pointed out by Snape, which I think is... Snape isn't wrong. But you don't realize that, everyone's trying to protect the castle so Harry doesn't get hurt. The fact that Harry's life is on the line is the reason that there's such high alert. Black wouldn't even be at the castle, some would say, if it weren't for Harry trying to get to him, trying to finish off the murders of the Potters. And Snape points that out, and I think it's a great point. I think it's a moment where you can kind of see the adult's view again and say Harry is being quite irresponsible by leaving the castle, the one place that is protecting him. Harry doesn't see that full picture. He just knows that Black is dangerous, but I think he maybe forgets that the reason most of these guards and Dementors and everyone is here is because of Harry. So that's a little bit of an eye-awakening moment. Another thing, Buckbeak's trial is lost, we learned at the end of the chapter. When Harry and Ron return to the common room, Hermione falls apart because she's overworked and she's exhausted. Hagrid did mention that he was helping her with the case, and so did Ron at one point. You know, there was a nice making up between the two of Ron and Hermione. She's been carrying this whole Buckbeak appeal alone, and Hagrid reminded them of that, so that really is a nice moment to have some compassion for someone who's just trying and who's working very hard at her schoolwork. They don't know how or why. She's doing so much and trying to accomplish so many classes and whatnot. All they know is she's just being Hermione. And when Buckbeak loses his case, it kind of really breaks her down. The committee barely listened, and Lucius Malfoy swayed them to have Buckbeak killed because of his son's arm, which Malfoy, his arm was fine. He just faked it for 3 months, literally making it like his arm was ruined for Quidditch and whatnot. He really wanted to hurt Hagrid and Harry, and mostly anyone who's a fan of Buckbeak, so the audience. Hermione hits her limit, and this is definitely her breaking point. And like I said, Ron and Hermione begin to mend. Ron does soften for Hermione. I think they're fully good now. You know, he says that the rat was old. Scabbers didn't know what they were doing. It was just a cat. You know, cat doing cat things. And Hermione is too drained to even fight anymore. So it's good that they're, you know, made up now and keeping an eye on their friend at the very least. So there's a little bit less drama going forward about Crookshanks, and I think Ron has accepted that this is Hermione's pet. No matter what happens, Hermione loves her pet, and you know he's going to forgive her for that because they are true friends. Chapter 15, the Quidditch Final. This chapter is simple and cinematic. You need 60 points ahead. Gryffindor needs 60 points ahead. Oliver Wood tells Harry many times, if you catch the snitch before they're 60 points ahead, they won't have the matching numbers to win the actual Quidditch Cup. They'll win the game, but then Slytherin will have more overall points, meaning Harry ends the game, but they don't win the cup if Harry doesn't go for the snitch after 60 points ahead. And that was confusing. I had to look back and read that because it was just a quick section. So Slytherin plays completely violently, Flint blocking illegally, bludgers flying at Harry nonstop, Malfoy taunting Harry and literally pulling his broom so he can't fly after the snitch. Dirty move. There's a lot going on, and it happens very quickly. The trick doesn't land, though. Harry is laser focused despite the violence going on during this match. There's a lot of tension, so even as a reader, you know, they might lose. You know, Gryffindor could lose this match. But like we'd hoped, Harry took the snitch. The final chase is fast, cinematic, and adrenaline-packed. Harry dives, Malfoy right beside him, and Harry snatches that snitch clean. He is the greatest seeker of all time. If I were on the Quidditch team, I think I'd rather be a chaser. I don't know if I'd want to be a seeker. That's too much pressure. The whole game relies on the seeker. That's why it's such an important position. If you have a good seeker, you have a great team. Despite your team needs to be good aside from that, but your seeker needs to be dang good. So Gryffindor officially wins because Harry did that 60 points up. He waited. He dodged Malfoy up until the moment was right and got the snitch while they were 60 points ahead. That's how they win the cup. And I think it's the first time in years. I'm going to be honest with you. Without looking back at the book right now or referencing anything, I'm pretty sure they won last year too. But this is not a perfect podcast. This is why I'm just a magic muggle. You know, don't blame me. I'm just a muggle who's got a little bit of magic in him who forgets things. Okay, I'm sorry for forgetting. The tower explodes, not literally, but in excitement. Wood actually sobs onto Harry's shoulder in joy. I just love the relationship between Harry and Wood. Like, no matter what Harry is going through, Wood just needs Harry to be able to play and win the games for them. So this moment where he's sobbing onto Harry's shoulder, it's quite peak school victory energy. There is also a moment I almost forgot to note that Harry sees Crookshanks outside when he wakes up at night. It's dark out there, but he could see Crookshanks. Then he could see the Grim, the dog, walking along with Crookshanks. So Harry's freaked out. He tries to wake up Ron, and by the time Ron is up, he pretty much doesn't see anything, falls right back asleep. Harry is slightly a little bit more mortified than he was before that. And that's it. 3 chapters, 3 different emotional worlds. Triumph, paranoia, heartbreak, and the last breath of happiness before this book hits its explosive final act. Next week, things change fast. Things get dark, and we step straight into the truth. I think we're about to start picking up towards this finale. We got 3 episodes left of Magic Muggle for this season/book. Technically 4, if you want to consider the movie. We're gonna go through the Prisoner of Azkaban movie like we always do at the end of the books. It's a nice little payoff, fun to compare and contrast. And later we'll have all that reflecting to do alongside the new Harry Potter series on HBO. Don't know when that's coming out yet. I have a feeling we might be finished with the books by the time it does. Even if we aren't, we will jump to the series and come back to the books. That's my ongoing plan. I'll let you know if anything changes. Thank you so much for listening. And I know I've been a little scatterbrained this episode. I don't know if you could tell, but I think these were at least the 3 chapters to do that on. It would mean the world if you rated the show, especially on Apple Podcast. Give it 5 stars. Leave a little bit of a review for us. It goes the longest way. Even if you're on another podcast app, drop that 5 stars or the thumbs up. Anything you can do, that helps us the most. Another thing that helps us slightly is our tip jar in the About section. You can contribute to the show in that way for now until I integrate Harry Potter into my Patreon along with Marvel Maniac and MCU After Show. For now, we haven't done that yet, and the best place to donate to the show would be the tip jar currently in the comments. Never expected, always appreciated. And that's it. Thank you very much again, and we'll see you next week. And until then, wands down, hearts full.